Hello, Aries. Have you ever felt you were born for something greater, but an invisible force kept holding you back? As if life itself owed you an explanation, an opportunity, a legacy that was always meant to be yours. Today, it's no accident you're hearing these words. The universe is whispering, what was once taken from you is already finding its way back. Not in storms, not in tears, but in the clear light of truth. So come with me back to the very beginning of your story, to the place where the flame in your heart was once dimmed by the winds of envy. And now, it's ready to rise stronger than ever. This is the journey of reclaiming your lost inheritance. There are stories that don't begin with the noise of the world, but with a quiet breath, the breath of a soul that once lost something, without even knowing what it was. Aries, in this lifetime, perhaps you've always felt you were born to do something extraordinary. You've always sensed a flame inside your heart, a soft calling from the universe that only you could hear. And yet over the years, it feels as if someone placed a veil over that light. No matter how hard you've tried, no matter how much you've given, something unseen kept pulling you back, stopping you right before the doorway of success, of love, of spiritual freedom. Some might call it bad luck, others destiny. But deep in your heart, you know it wasn't random. There's an energy, an ancient current that was once blocked in your life, a sacred inheritance, a gift your soul was given long ago, but hasn't yet been able to open. That inheritance may not be money or possessions. It might be a gift, a sacred talent, a kindness so deep it transforms others, or a wisdom passed through the bloodline of your ancestors. Some souls are born to preserve wealth, but you, Aries, were born to rekindle the fire of justice and to restore faith in the power of truth and the self. But when the light shines too brightly, the shadows often grow afraid. Sometimes, on the path of becoming who you are, you don't notice the quiet eyes watching from the dark. It could be someone once close to you, someone who admired you, maybe even loved you, until that admiration turned into envy. Envy is one of the oldest energies known to humankind. It doesn't just wound others, it slowly suffocates the one who carries it. And when that energy surrounds us, it can slow the very wheel of destiny. I've thought about this a lot. In Buddhist teaching, it is said, what is taken from you is never truly lost. It's simply waiting for the right moment to be returned. And I believe that, perhaps every interruption in your life was not an ending, but a pause the universe placed there so that you could grow strong enough, wise enough, and bright enough to protect what was always meant for you. Have you ever felt that? As if an invisible hand kept you from moving forward, even when your heart was ready to leap. If you have, don't hide that feeling. Let it speak. Let it breathe. Because only when we acknowledge the weight that holds us back can we begin to open the door to restoration. And when you listen closely, you'll notice something miraculous. Everything that paused in your life is still there, waiting for you on the other side of patience. The old dreams never died. The opportunities you thought were gone have been standing still, waiting for your return, for the version of you that no longer carries resentment, but peace and clarity. Aries, this journey isn't about taking back what was lost. It's about remembering who you are, remembering the flame that still burns in your heart, remembering that you never truly lost anything because your soul kept it safe, even on the days you forgot yourself. If you've ever felt blocked or held back, share that feeling, not to complain, but to release the silence that's been weighing on you. Every story you share becomes a thread of light, helping others see that they are not alone in their darkness. And perhaps your story will be the torch that guides someone else through their own. When we're brave enough to face our wounds, we stop seeing ourselves as victims. We begin to realize we are the chosen ones, the souls entrusted to restore what has been broken in this world. And when that realization dawns on you, a new door opens. You start to see the deeper reasons. Behind every delay, every heartbreak, every detour, there is an ancient force, subtle, powerful, invisible, that once shaped kingdoms and destinies, and it has also touched yours. It is the energy of envy. And to continue this journey, we'll look straight into that energy together, not to judge it, but to understand it, to release it, and to transform it into light. Because only when we truly understand the roots of darkness can our light shine without ever burning anyone again. In the human world, there exists an ancient energy, subtle, silent, yet powerful enough to bend the course of destiny. It has no shape, no voice, but you can feel it in the air. In the way someone looks at you, in the gentle compliments laced with comparison, in the warm embrace that somehow leaves a chill down your spine. That energy is envy. Aries, we often think envy is just a fleeting emotion, something small passing between people, but in truth it is the fear of being left behind. It is the cry of a soul not yet ready to face itself. Someone may love you, admire you, and still fear you. They fear your light, that it's too bright. They fear your growth, your strength, your potential to become everything they have not yet dared to dream of. And from that fear they begin to control, to suffocate, to slow your steps, sometimes unconsciously, sometimes with careful intent. Not everyone knows how to face the light. When a soul lost in darkness encounters brightness, it has two choices: to walk toward it and shine together, or to turn away, because that light exposes the shadows within. And sadly, most will choose the second. They choose jealousy. They choose silence that destroys. They choose small, subtle actions, tiny cuts that bleed the energy of another. You might not even notice it. You just feel your drive slipping away. You feel tired for no reason. Plans that once flowed begin to fall apart. Yet deep inside, your soul knows something or someone is sending an energy that moves against your light, not to destroy you, but to make you doubt yourself. No one can extinguish the fire of Aries. They can only make you believe you're not bright enough to keep burning. And in that single moment of doubt, your life slows down. Envy is a quiet curse. It doesn't need words, only a tremor in your faith. The moment you stop believing in yourself, your flame begins to fade and the world around you loses its color of hope. But don't resent those who created that energy. In Buddhist teaching, it's said that every action grows from the root of fear. Those who envy you are afraid of themselves, afraid they won't be loved, afraid they won't be seen, afraid to disappear in a world where others shine brighter. And when you understand that, your heart no longer carries anger. You simply choose to keep your light, untouched by the emotions of others. Aries, sometimes envy comes from the very hands that once held yours through hardship. They can't bear to see you step beyond the boundaries they still live in, but you owe them nothing in return. You don't need to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You don't have to apologize for growing. Life was never meant to be lived standing still, and true light, real light, can only guide the way when you dare to step out of someone else's shadow. If you've ever felt that, if your light has been dimmed by the heavy energy around you, speak it, write it, share it. Let that energy dissolve through your words. Every time we tell our story, a piece of darkness is lifted from the collective heart of humanity. Ask yourself, have you ever been held back by someone's envy? The question isn't to blame, it's to remind you that from this moment on, you have the right to step free from anyone's shadow. Healing doesn't mean cutting people off. It means understanding them without letting them shape your energy anymore. When you look at jealousy with compassion, it melts away. Because light never has to fight darkness, it simply shines. And once you hold your own light steady, every negative force begins to retreat. Something miraculous is waiting ahead, because when the energy of envy dissolves, the air around you becomes clear like the sky after a summer rain. You'll start to see what you couldn't see before. Hidden truths, unspoken words, subtle signs that carry great meaning. The world will begin to whisper to you again, telling you the real story of who you are. And in that gentle light, you'll realize everything once hidden is now being revealed. Sometimes truth doesn't arrive with thunder or lightning. It comes as a quiet breath, gentle, steady, asking us not to collapse, but to pause, to stop and listen, to stop and see, to stop and realize that some things in life never really disappear. They simply wait for the moment we're strong enough to face them. Aries, how long have you lived with that subtle feeling? That quiet knowing that something isn't quite right, but you can't name it. A hidden secret in the portrait of your life. A missing piece buried under silence, leaving you with the sense that something's always incomplete. Maybe it's a family truth never spoken. Maybe it's a story that was hushed. Maybe it's a memory covered in dust. But deep down, your soul has always known. And today, that veil is beginning to lift. Truth never really disappears. It hides in the stillness of time, waiting for a brave soul to call it back into the light. And when you begin to listen to that quiet voice inside, you'll start noticing signs, a dream that keeps repeating, a fragmented memory, an intuition without words. All of it points in one direction. It's time to know. The first thing you must remember is that truth doesn't come to hurt you, it comes to free you. When a hidden door opens and light pours in, your eyes, long used to darkness, may sting for a while. That sting isn't punishment, it's cleansing. It washes away the old layers so you can finally see yourself, others, and the path you've been walking with clarity. In Buddhist wisdom, there's a beautiful teaching. Light never fights darkness, it simply shines. And darkness fades on its own. Truth works the same way. It doesn't argue, it doesn't shout. When it arrives, everything else quietly falls into place. What once confused you begins to make sense. The people who once hurt you become easier to understand. And above all, forgiveness appears, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Aries, you don't need to look for justice out there. The truth within you is the highest court of all. Every time you face yourself, every time you dare to speak what was once silenced, you reshape the energy of your entire life. Every honest word is a ritual. Every tear that falls in realization is a form of meditation. It's the moment when the soul is washed clean, and the heart opens again, ready to love. You may discover that the one who hurt you was also the one who unknowingly guided you to awaken. You may realize the years of endurance weren't a punishment but a preparation. And perhaps you'll understand that truth was never far away, it was you all along. You without fear, without masks, without the need to please anyone anymore. If something inside you is trembling right now, if you feel recognition rising in silence, let me tell you this, you are on the right path. Say it softly, just enough for the universe to hear. I reclaim what belongs to me. Those words are not just a declaration, they are an activation. They open an energetic doorway, allowing the light to return to where it was once confined. And when you dare to speak them, something miraculous begins to unfold. The pieces of your life start falling into place, not by coincidence, but by alignment. Broken relationships gain new clarity. Lost opportunities return in unexpected forms. And through it all, you'll feel something you haven't felt in a long time, a sense of ease. Not because everything is fixed, but because you no longer need to run. When the veil of truth lifts, the air around you changes. You'll hear the wind differently, as if the universe itself is breathing with you. And in that shared breath, a new movement begins, gentle yet powerful, subtle yet profound. It is the wheel of the universe, turning again, restoring what was once blocked, and bringing you closer step by step to what has always been yours since the very beginning of time. Every restoration in life begins with a moment of silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of acceptance. When we stop fighting, when we stop chasing, the river that was once blocked begins to find its way again. Aries, have you ever felt tired of running after things you believed were meant for you? A relationship, a dream, an opportunity, or simply the feeling of being seen, being valued. There were times you gave it your all, you tried, you sacrificed, you endured, and then everything collapsed without reason. In those moments, you might have thought the universe turned its back on you. But no, the universe never abandoned you. It was simply rearranging things, waiting for you to pause long enough to realize that what truly belongs to you will never leave. Divine justice doesn't arrive with a hammer or a roar. It comes softly in the smallest ways. An old friend reaching out, a door you thought was closed quietly opening again, a broken faith slowly returning. That's how the universe works, not loud, not dramatic. It just asks you to be still enough to listen. People often misunderstand justice. They think it's about punishment or victory, about right and wrong, about winners and losers. But divine justice doesn't punish, it restores balance. Every soul receives in the same frequency it once sent out. When you've been sowing light, no matter how much darkness you've walked through, that light will always find its way back to you. Aries, you were never left behind. You were being prepared to receive with a wider, softer heart. Sometimes blessings don't come right away, because if they came too soon, you might not have been ready to hold them. Just as a seed can't bloom while the soil is still cold, blessings can only flower when you've learned the sacred art of patience. Remember this, the universe never forgets its promise. Every loss, every delay, every detour is part of the great rebalancing. And one morning, when you wake up with a strange calm in your chest, you'll understand you thought was lost has simply returned in a better, deeper, more worthy form. Sometimes justice doesn't come from what we see outside, but from the quiet inside. When you no longer blame, no longer demand, when your heart accepts that everything happens for a reason, that's when the healing energy begins to move again. And from that moment, everything starts to shift. The air feels lighter, your body relaxes, opportunities appear without you forcing them. Money, love, peace, they all start finding their way back home to you. Ask yourself this, what good thing do you feel is returning to you now? Maybe it's your self-worth, maybe a friendship you thought was gone, or simply the joy of being fully yourself again. Whatever it is, that's the proof the universe keeps its word. Sometimes the greatest compensation isn't what you receive, but who you've become after the loss. You're no longer the one who begs, no longer the one who hides or fears rejection. You've grown into someone who knows that everything comes and goes for a sacred reason, and from that piece your life begins to move again. Once you understand that divine justice doesn't come to punish, but to teach you how to love more wisely, you stop fearing what has happened. Every mistake, every heartbreak becomes a teacher, guiding you back to your truest form, where your soul feels light, free, and full of gratitude. And as blessings begin to flow back in, you'll sense a movement, subtle but profound, not just in your life, but in the energy that connects you to your ancestors. Because this, Aries, isn't just your story. This is the awakening of your bloodline, the healing of ancestral karma through your brave, open heart. There are moments in life when you suddenly realize you're carrying more than just your own story. You're carrying the unfinished dreams of your parents, the unhealed wounds of your grandparents, the fears that were never spoken, passed down through generations, living quietly in the blood that runs through your veins. And sometimes, Aries, your soul was not chosen to continue the story, but to end it. Have you ever felt different from the rest of your family? Like you were the one who asked the questions no one dared to ask, the one who refused to stay silent, the one who saw what others preferred to ignore. Maybe you are the first in your bloodline to speak the truth, to break the old pattern, to choose light, even when it meant walking alone through the storms your ancestors feared. We are all born inside a web of energy, where every action, every word, every pain leaves a trace. If someone in your lineage once lost their voice, was punished for being kind, or silenced for living their truth, that energy didn't disappear. It stayed behind, hidden in the memory of your family's soul, waiting for someone strong enough to touch it. And that someone is you. Aries, you are the one chosen to end the cycle of envy, of silence, and of loss, not because you're perfect, but because you've suffered enough to understand that revenge never frees anyone. You see what others can't. You feel the pain that your mother never spoke, the exhaustion in your father's eyes, the broken stories your grandparents left unfinished. And somewhere inside your heart, a silent promise was made that this generation will be different, that the repeating pattern ends here. We don't take revenge on the past, we turn it into a lesson for the future. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to let that pain define who you become. To forgive your ancestors, your parents, yourself, is one of the bravest acts a soul can make. You are freeing the ones who were bound by fear and silence. Every time you dare to speak your truth, a part of your bloodline is cleansed. Every time you love without conditions, an old wound begins to close. And each time you choose kindness over anger, a curse dissolves into light. You are rewriting your family's story, not with a pen, but with the energy of your heart. Yes, there will be moments of loneliness. Not everyone will understand. But remember, you are never truly alone. Behind you stand the souls of those who once suffered in silence, who were forgotten, but who now watch over you with quiet gratitude. They are smiling because at last, someone was brave enough to bring the light back home. If something inside you is stirring right now, a warmth, a quiet calling, say these words aloud. I hold what no one before me could hold. It's more than a sentence, it's a sacred vow. It awakens the ancient memory in your blood, opening a doorway for healing to flow backward through time and forward into the future. And when you do this, a miracle begins. Old conflicts start to dissolve. Relationships once filled with pain become softer. Your body feels lighter, your mind clearer, because you've finally cut the invisible thread that kept you bound to fear. As your light expands, it doesn't just guide your path, it illuminates the way for others who are still lost in the dark. Because you're not living only for yourself. You're living for all those who never had the chance to live fully. And then, in that sacred stillness, you will feel something profound. Peace is not the final reward. It's the proof that the bloodline has healed. So let that light keep flowing through you, Aries. So when the universe looks down, it will know the chosen one has completed their mission. And with that light, peace and prosperity return, as the divine gift for a soul brave enough to heal generations. Peace doesn't come when everything is perfect. It comes when you stop trying to control it all. Aries, you've walked through so many storms, so many beginnings, so many endings, that now a quiet morning and a deep breath feel like a gift. True prosperity isn't about how much you have. It's the feeling that you already have enough, even when life still feels unfinished. Once you believed happiness would come, when you finally achieved something, a career, a love, recognition. You ran, you fought, you held on tight, as if letting go meant losing everything. But then you learned. Some things move farther away, the more you chase them. And one day, maybe on a soft afternoon, with sunlight touching the curtain, you understood. You don't need to run anymore. All that is good has always been here. You just weren't peaceful enough to see it. Peace is not a reward, it's the true nature of your soul. It was only hidden beneath old wounds, expectations, and the weight of unfinished dreams. But today, as you begin to love yourself for no reason at all, as you stop fearing loss, as you stop comparing your path to anyone else's, peace quietly returns like breath itself. Wealth doesn't live in your wallet. It lives in your ability to wake each morning with gratitude, when you're thankful for the eyes that still see, for the roof that shelters you, for the heart that still feels. You are already living in abundance. The universe never turns away from those who are grateful. When you radiate the energy of enough, everything aligned with that vibration will find its way back to you. No force, no grasping, just flow. Aries, you don't need anyone's permission to shine. You were born to be living proof of divine justice. That light never dies. It only hides for a while, so you can learn how to cherish it more deeply. When you live with faith and gratitude, money, opportunities, and kind people naturally come to you like small rivers finding their way to the sea. You don't have to prove your worth. Your presence is enough. Let abundance come not only through matter, but through the soul. To be rich is to know when to pause, to watch, to smile even when life isn't complete. To be rich is to understand that nothing is ever truly lost. Everything simply transforms and returns in its perfect time. And when you accept this truth, doors begin to open without you even knocking. If your heart feels a little softer right now, whisper gently, I receive in peace. These words aren't just an affirmation, they are a frequency, a ripple that harmonizes everything around you. They call blessings home. They remind the universe that what truly belongs to you can never leave. There will come a morning when you wake and realize you no longer fear the future. Not because you know what's coming, but because you trust that whatever comes, you will be okay. That is true freedom, freedom from fear, from comparison, from the feeling of not being enough. And once the soul is free, the outer world begins to change too. Doors open, relationships heal. Money finds you not as a burden, but as a way to love, to give, to serve. And more than anything, you realize you've become someone who can create peace for others, simply by being. Prosperity isn't just about having, it's about living. without being ruled by fear. And when your heart reaches that state, that balance, where there's nothing left to prove, nothing to hide, where you and life no longer resist each other but move together in harmony, then the final truth appears. It is divine justice and the rebirth of your soul. There are moments in life when, after all the loss, all the falling and rising again, you realize you're no longer who you used to be. Something within you has changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a candle being lit inside a dark room. Aries, that is the sign of rebirth. Rebirth doesn't mean starting over. It means returning to yourself, to the part of your soul that was forgotten. Amid the noise of the world, you no longer search for justice outside of you because you've come to understand that true justice has always lived within. In Buddhist wisdom, justice is not about punishment, it is awakening. It does not demand that anyone must suffer. It helps us understand why suffering ever came. When you look back at your path, you'll see that every wound carried a lesson. Every person who hurt you was sent to reflect what you hadn't yet seen in yourself. And when you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this here to teach me?" that's when the wheel of karma slows down. You are no longer spinning inside old cycles. You have risen above them. Divine justice doesn't arrive to punish. It returns you to yourself, to the wiser, kinder, stronger version of who you truly are. It gives you back your laughter, your faith, your quiet peace of heart. It restores your sense of worth, not because you achieved something great, but because you never gave up. Aries, you have walked through the fire, not the kind that destroys, but the kind that refines. You've been misunderstood, doubted, and left standing alone among those who didn't believe in you. But in that solitude, a new power was born. You are no longer the seeker, you are the guide. You are the symbol of fairness, of light, of the truth that nothing can stop a heart that dares to live authentically. This world needs souls like yours, souls that have known how it feels to fall and still choose to rise without bitterness. Souls that have tasted enough tears to understand the value of a smile. Souls that can look into another's darkness without judgment and simply light another candle. Because that, Aries, is your purpose, to become the light you once searched for. Remember, this is not an ending. This is a return. A return to the soul that has traveled through lifetimes and learned that there is no miracle greater than realizing you are the miracle. Every word you speak with honesty, every act born from kindness creates justice not of this world but of the universe, the kind of justice where all good things find their way to the right person at the right time. If this message touches your heart, share your story. Somewhere out there, a soul may be lost in the dark, needing only one ray of your light to begin healing again. Light never disappears when shared, it multiplies every time you offer it with love. And as you close this journey, leave a quiet space inside your heart. Feel the softness spreading through your body as if every cell is smiling, because you have come home not to the past, but to the truest version of who you are. Thank you, Aries, for allowing me to walk beside your light today. May your path always be guided by peace, protected by truth, and blessed by divine justice.